You're listening to the Bear in Mind podcast, episode number 114.
A podcast uncovering identity, color, and love, where driving yourself crazy is totally sane and curable. Now your host, T. Bias.
There's only two types of time management problems that come up. One is planning, and the second one is commitment. Most any problem that you have, if you want to be more productive, want to create free time for yourself, you can see the problem clearly through planning. Either it's a planning issue, not planning effectively, or it's a commitment issue. There's too many distractions, procrastination, things like that come up. So basically, those are two buckets. And today we're going to be talking about planning. And planning is a math problem. And what I mean by planning is that you actually look at the number of hours available to you. So if you have X number of hours available to you, awake time, your total awake time for 1 week, and then you look at your list of what is it that you want to do in 1 week and the amount of time all of those items are going to take. That is the math equation we're going to solve for. The amount of hours available to you and the amount of work that you want to work on in a week. And now people don't do that. People don't do that math equation. There has to be an equal sign if you are going to work, whatever the work includes. If you're going to work, let's say, 40 hours a week, that means 40 hours needs to be adjusted in your calendar. So if you've listed out every item, all of those items that you list out, appointments, project work, all of those things, those need to add up to 40 hours. And when we don't do that math equation, this is where it can kind of get into a bit of a struggle, because if we don't understand how much time all of our work is going to take us to do, then we create a to-do list that is actually 80 hours of work when we really have 40 hours available to us. And I actually did this recently. I'm taking French lessons. I do have a conversation buddy and I asked her if I could coach her. So she actually had a time management issue. And what I did is I asked her all of the items that she needs to do each week, and then I asked her how much time it would take. And then I added it all up. Then I asked her how many hours she's awake each day, and then I did the math. And then when I calculated all of her work, this isn't including eating meals or free time. This was solely based on her studying and work. It equated to 80 hours. And then the only thing is, if you want to work 80 hours, that's okay. And the only thing is 80 hours what you want to do? If that's what you want to do, and you're aware that 80 hours is going to go to studying and work, it's not including all of the other stuff, showering, eating meals, free time, hanging out with friends, grocery store, cleaning the apartment. It's not including any of that. This is purely 80 hours of studying and working. And she said she would be okay for doing that for the 4 months that she had this special project she wanted to work on for her studies. And when she could see that, okay, I'm going to be doing a lot more work, 80 hours, than what I normally do, and it's going to be for 4 months, is this something I'm willing to take? She can better make that decision about her time. And then she could better decide, well, maybe I can reduce time, and she can start to play with things and make better decisions about how to manage her time. Now, when I do this, it's very tedious, and I've had my coach do this, and I still have my coach do this from time to time when I get stuck on something. And how am I going to carve in time to work on something? It's a process. Okay, tell me how to do this. And the thing is, most of us don't do this. And this is why this is so great of my life coach to do this, just sit down and do this with me. And all of a sudden, it seems so tedious, but at the end, all of a sudden you have this number, you have this equation to look at, and it really is so eye-opening. You're like, oh, okay. And then you can look at those numbers and then you can start to make decisions. Maybe I don't want to do this. maybe I do really want to do this and I want to add more time to this and reduce time here. Or maybe this time would be better if I outsourced it. Maybe I don't want to clean my apartment. I clean my apartment. And often when I go to equate stuff and I look at where I could gain some time is I think, well, maybe I could hire a cleaner. And some of those options become so much more clear when you can look at the math and say, okay, this is how many hours it's taking me to clean my apartment. Is it the number of hours that I want to spend on doing it? Is there another way I could increase my amount of time available to me? And then you have a little bit of that wiggle room, which you can't do in your head because your head can't hold all that information. It needs to see it on paper. It needs to see it in some system. And so I want to get back to people usually don't do this. And I do this a lot as a coach. I sit there and I write this out. People don't do this. And a lot of times people are resistant to this in the beginning is because there's something that usually a lot of the objections are, I have so much to do. Now I need to take an hour out of my week to plan out my week. And so then people view it as a waste of time. And I know I did. I was like, okay, this is going to take me time to do this. And the best analogy I heard was from my coach was that it's like a GPS system. Planning your time 1 hour for that week, it works like a GPS system. So if I said, hey, let's go meet in a cafe, and I gave you the address, if you didn't have a GPS system to plan out the best route, you would then bike or drive, walk around, and maybe even stop to ask directions. And you would spend a lot of time circling back, taking wrong turns, talking to people to get somewhere. Where the GPS goes to calculate it. And actually GPS systems they do the math. Before there were these automatic systems, sailors used to hand calculate things based on positions of stars and the moon and things in the sky. And then they would go and they would calculate the best route to get from point A to point B. So it was still a math problem. It is still today a math problem. So when you plan that 1 hour, you're actually planning the efficient route to get from point A, which is the beginning of your week, to the end of the week, having the things that you want to get done actually done. So before you look at any other issue you're having with time management, before you're looking at the next new planner or the next app or anything like that, this is where you start. You do the math. You write out all of the things for your to-do list for 1 week, and next to it, you write out how much time it's going to take you to do each of those items. And part of the drama is I don't know how long some things are going to take. Now that is a lie that your brain is going to offer you. You do know how long something's going to take, and you get to decide how long something's going to take. And usually where some of that I don't know comes from is that we haven't broken down the steps into smaller steps. So it might be have project completed or presentation completed, and we haven't broken down all of the elements to get that task done. And so I'll equate it to cleaning. If I said, okay, I need to clean the house. I don't know how long it's going to take me to clean the house. But I said, okay, I need to clean 1 toilet. I have a rough guess at how long it's going to take me to clean 1 toilet. And then if I say, how long is it going to take me to vacuum 1 bedroom? I have an idea. It's the same principle for if you have bigger projects, you haven't broken down into smaller steps to get an idea of how long something's going to take you. So in that hour, you've written out your to-do list next to each item. And when I say the to-do list, I mean everything that you have going on in the week, which includes showering, grocery store, laundry, cleaning the house, commute time back and forth, meals, also the work. All of that stuff, you write it down, and you write down how long each item is going to take. And then you go and you plug and play, and you see if it equates to the number of hours in your calendar that you are awake. And you will begin to see exactly where the issue is. Is your to-do list filled with stuff where you have, let's say, 40 hours available to you, and it is filled with 80 hours of work? Because before you can solve for any other problem, you really need to see is if the items that you have planned in your head and the amount of time equal to the amount of hours available to you. If you don't solve for that equation first, all the other things that come up for you around time management, that could be procrastination, it can be dealing with distractions, things that come up unexpectedly. Yes, even that. Planning helps with dealing with things in unexpected situations. Being flexible, planning will help you become more flexible with your time. Before you can do that, you need to understand, is the math equation, is it solvable? Are you equating the hours equal to the hours of work? The hours you're awake equal to the hours of work, and all this other stuff that is on your to-do item, do they equate? When you do that, you'll be able to find solutions for all the other stuff that comes up around time management. So try it out, 1 hour to plan out your week, and see what happens. I'll check back with you next week.
Thanks for listening. Listen for a new episode next Tuesday by subscribing on your favorite podcast platform. Bye for now.